Good morning, boys and girls. Today we're going to talk about the clock. Boys and girls, look at Jack Hartman's clock. Jack Hartman's clock has numbers on it. The number at the very top is the number 12. Followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and again we get to the 12. Now you also notice that Jack Hartman has two hands on the clock. This longer hand, or this longer arm, is called the minute hand. And this shorter hand is called the hour hand. The minute hand points to the minutes, the hour hand points to the hours. This clock is telling me that it's 8 o'clock because the hour hand is pointing to the 8 and the minute hand is pointing to the 12. Therefore, it's 8 o'clock because the 12 stands for o'clock. Let's look at the next one. Here are the numbers again. And the very top is a 12. And all the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And the 12 is on the top. Here is the minute hand pointing to the 12, which means o'clock. Here is the hour hand. This tells us the hour. It's pointing to the 5. It's 5 o'clock. Let's look at the next one. Here are the numbers again. Here's Jack. His minute hand is on the 12, which means o'clock. And the hour hand is pointing to the 2, so it's 2 o'clock. Let's look at the next one. Here's Jack Hartman. The minute hand is pointing to o'clock. It is 11 o'clock. Let's look at the next one. Here is Jack Hartman. His minute hand is pointing to o'clock. And the hour hand is pointing to the 7. It is 7 o'clock. What about this one, boys and girls? Here's Jack Hartman. He's got the minute hand pointing to o'clock. And the hour hand is pointing to the 4. It's 4 o'clock. Very good. Now let's take out our Eureka math book A. We're going to open up to page 200 and let me get my book. 245. I'll write it down for you here. 245. Now, boys and girls, look carefully. This is not Jack Hartman. This is not a Jack Hartman clock, but it's the same thing. It starts with a 12 up on top. It's got the 1, 2. Oops. It's got the 1, 2, 3. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11, and again the 12 is up on top. The minute hand, the O clock, is pointing to the 12, and the hour hand is pointing to the 5. That means it's 5 o'clock. Now these clocks, boys and girls, are called analog clocks. The ones at the top called analog clocks. Analog clocks are like the clocks that we have in our classroom, and the bottom clocks are called digital clocks. Digital. Those are clocks that we have maybe in our car, maybe on our alarm clock at home. So there are two different kind of clocks that tell us the time. We're going to match the analog clock to the digital clocks. So if the first one said 5 o'clock, I would match this one to 5 o'clock. That's the way you write 5 o'clock. The next clock has both hands pointing to the same number. It's pointing to the 12. So it's 12 o'clock. Now, boys and girls, I want you to do the next two clocks by yourself. Match them with the digital clock. You may begin. Okay, boys and girls, let's see. Here's the hand pointing to the 12, which means o'clock, and the hour hand is pointing to the 8. It is 8 o'clock. And here again, the minute hand is pointing to the 12, which means o'clock. It is 1 o'clock, all the way across, 1 o'clock. Now here, for number 2, you have to put the hour hand. The minute hand is already here. They want us to put the hour hand on this clock so that the clock reads 3 o'clock. Now remember, one hand is long, the other hand is short. Can you put the second hand, the hour hand, on the correct number? That's correct, boys and girls. It should have been pointing to the 3. So it's 3 o'clock. Remember, one hand is long, the minute hand is long, the hour hand is short. Boys and girls, go ahead and give yourselves a happy face and raise the roof. 1, 2, 3. Woo, 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 woo. Turn to the next page. Here we have many clocks, boys and girls. We're going to look for the hour hand to tell us what time it is. We're going to write the time shown on each clock. Some of the clocks are analog clocks. Some of the clocks are digital clocks. The first one, we have the hour hand pointing to the 5. That means it's 5 o'clock. That's the way you write it with numbers. Look at letter B. The minute hand is pointing to the 12. The hour hand is pointing to the 1, so it's 1 o'clock. This is the way you write 1 o'clock using words. Numbers and words. 1 o'clock. The next clock is a digital clock, boys and girls. And the digital clock says 3 o'clock, so you'll write 3 o'clock. Okay, boys and girls, I'm going to let you finish the rest of the clocks by yourself. So go ahead and put the recording on pause. Okay, boys and girls, let's check our work. For letter D, I see the hour hand pointing to the 9, so that's 9 o'clock. Here, the hour hand, I could barely see the hour hand because it's right on top of the minute hand, so this is 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock. The next letter, F, I see the minute hand again pointing to the o'clock. This part means the hour, 7 o'clock. Check your work. Letter G says 4 o'clock. Letter H reads 6 o'clock. Letter I reads 11 o'clock. Letter J reads 10 o'clock. Boys and girls, if I'm going too fast, pause your recording and then continue it when you're ready to move on. Letter K, 6 o'clock. Letter L, 2 o'clock. Letter M, we're going to have to do it by yourselves, boys and girls, because there isn't very much help down here on these lines. So letter M reads 11 o'clock. So we're going to write it down this way. 11, and then the words o'clock. Yes, in the word o'clock, you need an apostrophe. The next clock reads 8 o'clock. And the last clock, boys and girls, reads 3 o'clock. Boys and girls, check your work. Give yourself a happy face. Go ahead and dust your shoulders. Piece of cake, piece of cake. Let's go ahead and move on to our exit ticket. Here, boys and girls, you're going to have to write the times shown on each clock. If you need assistance, I'm going to let you go back and check your worksheets if you need assistance. Okay, work on this on your own, and then you can start your recording again so you could check your work. Okay, boys and girls, let's check our work on our exit ticket. Here, the 2 clocks, here's a minute hand pointing to the 12. That means o'clock. And the hour hand is pointing to the 6. That means it's 6 with 2 dots, o'clock. Number 2, the minute hand is pointing to o'clock. The hour hand is pointing to 9. It's 9 o'clock. Number 3, the minute hand is pointing to the 12. It means it's o'clock. 7 o'clock. Number 4, the hands are on top of each other, so that means it's 12 o'clock. Boys and girls, check your work. When you finish, go ahead and give yourself a happy face, and go ahead and give yourselves an oh yeah. 1, 2, 3, oh yeah. Okay, boys and girls, good job today. Don't forget to work on happy numbers.